Many IELTS students have difficulties writing essays for discussion questions in IELTS Writing Task 2 because they don't know what they need to do to score high. Yes, it's true, these questions are hard, especially because you have to include a lot of points to get a high band score. And this is what I'm going to teach you in this video. We write an entire essay for a discussion question, step by step, and I show you how to get a band 9. By the way, guys, if you're going to take your IELTS soon, check out my IELTS materials. There, I teach you everything you need to score high. I show you step by step how to give high-scoring answers. And of course, we do many practice tests together, so you will feel confident for your test. You can find the link in the description box. And now, let's get started. In IELTS writing, discussion questions can be tricky because you are asked to do 3 different things. If you skip any of them, your band score goes down. Let's have a look at the question. In many countries, there is a long break from school in the summer months. Some people like this policy, but others feel that school should continue throughout the year with no long breaks. The next sentence tells you what you have to do. You have to discuss both sides and give your opinion. This sentence is crucial. You need to say both sides of the argument and then give your opinion, so you know it's a discussion question. The prompt may be slightly different, but it will be the same basic idea. Lots of students make the mistake of explaining only one side that they prefer. Other students give both sides, but don't say which they agree with. If you do this, your band score will go down. So make sure all 3 points are answered in your essay. The next 2 lines are the same every test, but they are just as important. If you don't follow the instructions, you won't get a high score. You must include reasons and examples, and you must write over 250 words. I'm now going to show you how to write a band 9 answer to this question. You may wonder how to start. Well, don't begin by writing the essay. Instead, take time to prepare your answer. It's really important to prepare so you don't go off topic while writing. Start by taking notes and brainstorming a few ideas for both sides of the argument. Since discussion questions ask you to discuss both sides, it's a good idea to draw a table. On the left side, write down what one view says, and on the right side, what the other view says. Since this question is about whether school breaks should be long or short, I write short and long. My reasons for why school breaks should be short are that students don't forget stuff, working parents don't have the problem of needing to find someone to watch their child, and students don't develop bad study habits. My reasons for why school breaks should be long are that children can travel and visit their grandmother. They can also rest, and there is time for other things, such as studying for the IELTS or doing a part-time job. You will need to state your opinion in the essay, and it's smart to pick the side for which you can find more arguments. I don't really care if vacations are short or long, but I have more options for long, so I will write about that as my preference. Note that you aren't scored on a correct answer. You're scored on how well you describe your viewpoint in English. Either side is fine, so don't waste time choosing. Then start to write the essay. The first sentence is a paraphrase of the original question. It tells the reader what your essay is about, and therefore it's called the background statement. It doesn't have to be long. Just introduce the topic to someone who doesn't see the question. Here's my paraphrase. There is a debate over whether schools should have a short or long summer break. As you can see, I combine both choices with the word whether. It's great for showing that there are 2 options. Plus, it shows off my ability to combine 2 ideas into 1 sentence. After that clear beginning, add your opinion. Do that right away so that the 3 parts of the question are covered in the introduction. I just stated both sides, and now it's my opinion. In my opinion, a long vacation gives children many opportunities which cannot be pursued in a limited period of time. In my opinion is a phrase directly from my template. I always use templates in IELTS writing. Now you may wonder what templates are. Templates give you sentence starters that include advanced vocabulary and organize your answer, which helps you get a high band score. When writing your answer, you simply write down the sentence starter and then you finish the sentence with ideas of your own that fit the topic you are given. To get all the templates you need, click on the link below and check out my IELTS materials. You can find templates for all IELTS writing tasks there. So for all charts in task 1, such as pie charts, line graphs, diagrams, and so on, and all questions in task 2. For example, agree-disagree questions, advantage-disadvantage questions, and much more. Have a closer look at this sentence. I decided to change small to limited period to avoid repetition. Paraphrasing words like this really show off your vocabulary. Notice, I don't give every one of my reasons here. I just summarize them broadly as many opportunities. The body paragraphs will give the reasons in detail. Remember to leave some space between the introduction and the first body paragraph. Be sure to use proper essay structure with paragraph breaks and periods at the end of sentences. This makes your essay well structured, which will increase your score. Here's a tip for you on how to structure your essay. Start with the view that is not your view. Then state the view you prefer and then add your opinion. This gives your essay a logical structure and makes it easier to write. Since I prefer long breaks, I will start with the view that prefers short breaks. Here's the first sentence of the first body paragraph. Some people firmly believe that short breaks are beneficial because of scheduling. Some people firmly believe that is directly from my template. It works great for showing that some people have a view that you do not have. If you use this sentence starter, you show that you don't include yourself in the people who like short breaks. Time for the first reason. The primary concern about lengthy summer holidays is that patterns, particularly study habits, change. The primary concern is also from my template. It shows that you're giving the main reason. By writing patterns, particularly study habits, I show that I know how to make a general claim specific in the very same sentence. Patterns is general and study habits specifies the patterns. Don't forget to add commas on both sides of the additional information. That's a vague claim and the prompt says to use examples from your own experience. So let's do that next. From my experience, it is harder to maintain a rigorous study plan without deadlines. My tendency is to procrastinate. From my experience shows that the following example is something that I have done myself. This is what the question asks you to do. So using from my experience is a great way to show the IELTS examiner that you understand the question. The first part is really general though. Therefore, I add one more idea that makes it relate to me. My tendency is to procrastinate. This is a very specific personal example. As you can see here, I use a semicolon. A semicolon joins two ideas that can stand on their own as sentences, but shows that the ideas are very closely related. Adding a semicolon shows the examiner that you understand punctuation well. Let's write one more sentence. As a result, it is harder to keep up with the assignments when school resumes in the autumn. As a result is another excellent linking phrase to show how the ideas relate. The reader knows that the following happens because I procrastinated. That example is good, but you should add two to support each side of a discussion question. So let's give another example. A further issue to consider is parent schedules. A further issue to consider is it's part of my template. All I needed to do was add parent schedules for a complete sentence. This is so amazing. Templates save you so much time. Then comes more detail. Parents must ensure that their children are safe and have good meals. This is clear. However, it doesn't show why short vacations are better than long ones, does it? So we need to add another sentence. We've just written two short sentences, so let's make the next one longer. It's important to use short and long sentences in IELTS writing because this shows the examiner that you are able to use a variety of sentence structures. Especially with younger children, parents may have to pay extra money for daycare or take time off work. This is a great sentence because I use several techniques to show off my grammar. I started with a modifying phrase, especially with younger children. That shows that the problem is worse if children are younger. I also use a conditional verb, may have. That is awesome because it shows a possibility, but not a certainty. It's very advanced English. I love using conditional verbs for examples. Finally, I used or. It's a short word, but it's powerful because it connects two ideas that are the same grammatical structure and thus creates a longer sentence. When you use or, check to make sure the grammar is really the same. Pay extra money for daycare is a verb phrase starting with pay, and take time off work is a verb phrase starting with take. These are both things that the parents may have to do. The sentence is parallel, so it's correct. We can move on. We've actually said enough reasons why short breaks are better than long breaks. So we're now going to end the paragraph with a concluding sentence that summarizes the main ideas of that paragraph. Hence, a long summer vacation could create financial hardships for the family, as well as disrupt the child's study routine. Hence is in my template. All I do is add the two ideas I mentioned before, which is super easy to do. Hence is an advanced word introducing a consequence, so you should definitely use it. Financial hardships paraphrases the idea of paying extra money or taking time off work. Disrupt the child's study routine is a way to summarize the idea of procrastinating and then not being able to study in the fall. By the way, if you find this video helpful, hit the like button. Also, comment below whether you want more sample answers for IELTS writing. Write more if you want more. If you want me to talk about something else, tell me your video wish in the comments so I know what you would like to see on this channel. Now, let's move on to the next paragraph. Make sure you leave some space between the first and the second body paragraph. We use a high-scoring sentence starter from my template. I love that one because it's extremely advanced English and makes your band score go up like this. Detractors to this viewpoint, on the other hand, would argue that long summer breaks give students valuable opportunities that they cannot pursue during the school year. Here you can see why this sentence starter makes your score go up. First, it uses advanced vocabulary such as detractors, which means opponents, and viewpoint. Second, on the other hand, is in the middle of the sentence, which is more difficult than using it at the start of the sentence. In particular, because you need to use two commas here. This way, you show the IELTS examiner that your English is really advanced. Let's have a look at the other part of the sentence. I use valuable to describe opportunities, to show that it's really a good thing. I'm starting to indicate my own opinion. However, I don't want to focus too much on what I think, since I'm giving two views. That's why I talk about other people, detractors, rather than just myself. Let's give two reasons again. We will start with a simple linking word. First, children can spend time traveling and expand their worldviews. This is a general statement, so we need to give an example. Do you notice I always start with a general statement followed by details? That's a really solid essay structure to use in the IELTS. It makes it easier for the IELTS examiner to read and understand your essay. Here's the details. For example, my grandparents lived on a farm in a different state, so I spend a month with them every summer vacation. For example is another awesome transition from my template. As you can see here, I'm using a specific example from my childhood. That's because the question asks me to use reasons and examples from my experience. This way I show the examiner that I understand what the question asks me to do, and this will increase my band score. However, this sentence doesn't really show why traveling was good, does it? So let's add one more sentence to clarify why that travel makes long breaks better than short breaks. Eating different foods and seeing different things gave me a broader perspective than if I'd stayed at home in a large city. I give the result of the travel. I show what I gained, a broader perspective. That sounds very valuable, doesn't it? Definitely a reason to keep a longer summer break. This sentence uses than to show a comparison, but the comparison is between a real thing, gaining a broader perspective, and a possible thing that didn't happen, staying at home in a large city. I use if I had in the second part to show the possibility. This is a very advanced sentence structure that really boosts your score. If you aren't comfortable using sentences this complex, don't worry. It's better to use simpler sentences correctly than long sentences wrong. You must convey your idea clearly, and if you make mistakes, the message might get lost. Use sentence structures you know well. Anyhow, that's enough support for that example, so we move on to the second point in favor of long vacations. An additional reason for my stance is that students can focus on personal projects. An additional reason for my stance is from my template. You probably already guessed that. Like before, I follow that short general claim with more details. During school, there are too many assignments and tests to really delve into other interests. Now the reader knows the problem with school, but we haven't stated why long breaks solve that problem. So let's do that in the next sentence. An extended period allows students to try new things, like learning about careers through internships or earning money for college and part-time jobs. I've used short break and long break a lot, so I chose to paraphrase it here. Extended period. When you give examples, make sure that they are useful. They must support your view. Let's check out the examples I give here. I talk about internships or earning money for college in part-time jobs. I could also say that the students have more time to play video games, but this is probably not going to convince my audience that a long break is important. That's two good reasons for the long breaks, so let's add a concluding sentence for the paragraph. Accordingly, students can have new experiences during a longer break. You can see that I summarized both ideas into a general claim of new experiences. That's because I don't want the reader to try to decide whether my example experiences are good or not. Experiences in general is much stronger because it includes things I haven't talked about too. We have finished the body of our essay, so it's time to add the conclusion. Don't forget to leave some space between this paragraph and the conclusion. In conclusion, short summer breaks are better for study habits and parents' planning, but longer summer breaks allow for more travel and personal growth. In conclusion signals that this is the conclusion. It's simple but really effective. I summarize both sides of the discussion here. I used but to join the two ideas, benefits of short and benefits of long. When but joins two complete clauses like this, there needs to be a comma in front of it. Pay attention to punctuation throughout the entire essay, because this will affect your band score. We are almost done. Therefore, I feel that schools should implement longer summer breaks. Therefore is another linking word. It shows that the following is the result of all that I've said. I make sure it's clearly my opinion using I feel. I end with a short sentence, but use another long vocabulary word, implement rather than use. A short sentence is just fine because it gets my point across clearly. Now I'm done with writing, but I go back to proofread. If you take time to fix errors and change words, it can really boost your score. Don't forget this step. Also, make sure you have written over 250 words. This essay has 334 words, which is fine. That's it, and that's how to write a Band 9 answer for a discussion question in IELTS Writing Task 2. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their IELTS writing score too. See you in the next video!